Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing some more Historic Brawl, this time with a viewer-requested deck. We are going to be playing a Nicol Bolas deck, so as you all may know by now, I am a big fan of Nicol Bolas the character, so I am a huge fan of a lot of the Nicol Bolas cards. So we're going to be playing every Nicol Bolas Planeswalker on Arena. I am going to be using the creature version as the commander because I am a kind of EDH or commander purist. I like playing creatures as my commanders, don't really like playing Planeswalkers as my commanders in Brawl. So yeah, this deck is going to be a Grixis supervillains deck. Just a ton of Planeswalkers in here. As you can see, there's about 20 of them. It's going to be using all of the best Planeswalkers in blue, black, and red, primarily being Nicol Bolas, of course, Nicol Bolas, God Pharaoh, Dragon God, and the Ravager, or the Arisen on the flip side of the card. So a ton of powerful Planeswalkers. In the non-Planeswalker cards, we have several good ways to proliferate some counters onto those Planeswalkers. Cards like Flux Channeler and Contentious Plan and Tezzeret's Gambit can give them extra charge counters, as well as draw a card on several of those cards. And there are a lot of just flavor win cards in this deck. Not everything that mentions Bolas, because some of them are pretty bad for this deck. Cards like Throne of the God Pharaoh would not be good here. That's a card that wants you to have a ton of creatures on the board, and we are very close to a creatureless deck, although we have some good utility creatures in here like Gonti, Murderous Rider, stuff like that. So we've got flavor wins like Apex of Power, In Bolas's Clutches, The Eldest Reborn, Hour of Devastation and Crux of Fate, Dark Intimations. A ton of Bolas flavor in this deck as well, not just a supervillains Planeswalker tribal deck here. And yeah, that is pretty much the deck. As always, there will be a link in the description below if you want to check out the deck list in full on MTG Goldfish. But we've got the Bolas avatar on. We're going to throw the Bolas sleeves on. Get everything all ready. And all Bolased up. The Bolas Full Art lands. Yeah, we're going to represent today. Team Bolas. Alright, let's get into some gameplay with this deck. I am very excited. The way that I do my Historic Brawl videos is that most of them, it's going to be my very first time ever playing with these decks. I've just built them right before the video, and then when I head into the gameplay, it's really my first time seeing how well the decks will do, but they look really, really fun. Or at least this one does, to me. Alright, we're going to be playing against a Gonti deck, so they're going to be stealing our own cards and using them against us. Very Bolas thing to do. So we have all three colors here, at least 3 mana. Supreme Will can draw us a card. This is another kind of Bolas card, as you can see. There's a Kefnet with Bolas's symbol on their staff and Bolas's horns in the background. So this is kind of a flavor card in the deck. This deck, I don't think, can make super good use of counter spells because we're going to be tapping out so often just to slam Planeswalkers onto the board. Crux of Fate is the draw, so we've got a Wrath effect if we need it. We don't have a red source outside of this pathway, so I think I'll throw that down here. Or I guess we'll just throw down a Drowned Catacomb. It's not like we're casting any spells this turn anyway. Save the pathway for later. Maybe we'll draw a red source next turn. They are going to force us to discard a card here. It is annoying. Maybe go Crux of Fate. It is a one-sided Wrath when we have Bolas on the board. Bolas plus Spark Double is really sweet. Let's go Bedevil, I guess. You know what? Let's go Soul Shatter here. Soul Shatter makes everybody sacrifice. Well, makes each opponent sacrifice their best card. Oh, is this just a discard Gonti deck? That's annoying. Yeah, discard decks are going to put you in several hard choices several times in a row very early on. I guess I'll discard Supreme Will and we'll just drop Skyclave Relic this turn. Get some extra mana going so we can cast things faster. We can now Crux of Fate next turn if we need to. Although I suppose if they're going to play even more discard spells, then we might want to like discard Relic and then cast Bolas. I'm guessing Spark Double's getting got here. Yep, Pelaka Predation gonna make us discard Spark Double. Well, we do get to cast Bolas here. Crux of Fate to kill 2/1/1s does not seem all that good to me. We're gonna make them discard a card right back at them, give them a taste of their own medicine here. They do just have a land to discard though, so not bad. And the final card in hand was a removal spell for Bolas, so we will send him right back to the command zone. We are only 1 mana away from Chandra Awakened Inferno, which will be huge here if we can do that. Although Nicol Bolas Dragon God off the top, also pretty good. They only have 2 damage on the board, so we can +1 Bolas to draw a card, make them exile their last card in hand, or I guess one of their permanents. And yeah, they cannot kill Bolas here. They can only do 2 damage to Nicol Bolas Dragon God. Dragon God also one of the best Bolases for a Super Friends deck, or a Super Villains deck as I'm calling this, because it gets all the abilities of all of our Planeswalkers. So here comes Gonti. Pretty sure we're just going to slam down Chandra, kill all of their creatures here, and then use Bolas to draw a card and make them discard a card. Now is where we are going to start just compounding that value of having multiple Planeswalkers on the board. And actually, we can just +2 Bolas instead if we don't need to draw a card. And there's going to be a lot of overlapping audio here. The Planeswalkers and myself are all just going to talk over each other. So they got our Karn off of Gonti. And they're just going to spit out some creatures. Seems fine by me. Ooh, we can play an Apex of Power soon enough. That's just a 2/2. We could -2 and get rid of it. Sure. Just clear that off the board here.
Got a burning desire to finish you.
And Bolas will get rid of Karn. And everything is dealt with. Now we can just cast Nicol Bolas the Ravager, I guess. Make them discard the last card in hand. That is really cool that it's a Nicol Bolas Dragon God emblem damaging them, even though it's technically from Chandra's ability. Alright, well, that was a pretty insane first game, but when you load your deck up with a bunch of crazy Planeswalkers, crazy things can happen. Alright. Heading into game 2 now. So this is, also, I will fully admit, this is a very high value deck. It is a gigantic stack of mythic rares and rares. So this is certainly not a deck for everyone, but thankfully as somebody who drafts a boatload, I had the vast majority of these cards just in my collection. And as a Magic Arena content creator, so to speak, I do put some money into the game here, and then I will buy gem bundles whenever I run out. Alright, let's grab a blue source here. That's the only color we're missing. We are playing against Eliwick Tumblestrum now, so a mono-green dungeon adventuring deck. Eliwick can also make good use of having a bunch of creatures on board, that emblem giving their whole board plus a bunch. We don't need 3 mana here, so we'll play our tapped land, the Castle Lochthwain. That way we know we get to play an untapped land next turn, regardless of what color we need. Alright, Ranger class coming out here and going off, getting them a 2/2, giving it a +1/+1 counter every time they attack, and potentially, eventually, that was not supposed to rhyme as well as it did, potentially, eventually letting them look at the top card of their library and cast creatures from the top. So I'm just going to run out Nicol Bolas here. We could have ran out Chandra and just shot their wolf down, but getting a Bolas out will have a blocker on the board if they don't have a removal spell to get rid of Bolas, and then our Planeswalkers can all sit back all pretty. Well, I guess that does become a 4/4 with the Ranger class. Let's actually not block here then. We can still get rid of that next turn with Torch of Defiance if we need to. Alright, Wandering Troubadour. So a lot of Dungeons & Dragons cards in this deck. We did make them discard an Ugin, I guess, because they were going to be a lot of mana away from casting that here. So good discard from Nicol Bolas. Ooh, Angrath? Angrath can straight up just kill their 4/4 here with the -3 ability. That's pretty good. What's Dark Intimations do? They sack a creature, planeswalker, discard a card, and then we pick one back up from our grave. We have none in grave, so Intimations isn't great here. Go for the little Wrath here. Destroy all non-dragons. Oh no, this is a Dragon Bard? Oh my god! Oh my god. I got so bad there. No idea that was a Dragon Bard. The 1-for-1 Crux of Fate to kill the Wolf token. Definitely should have just cast a Planeswalker if it was only going to kill one of the 2 cards. That's so weird. Yeah, it's a Dragonkin. They're venturing to dungeon, get a treasure token. There's a Nicol Bolas Dragon God here that'll destroy one of their cards. Anything we play is going to destroy one of their cards. Angrath can now destroy Pack Leader and draw us a card if we attack with both creatures, so that's pretty spicy. I think I like that. Yeah, but then we wouldn't hold a blocker up. We could use Dragon God or Chandra to kill the Troubadour and then block the Pack Leader and trade, because that'll put a counter on it. We're at the point I think we do need to potentially trade here. Let's go... Yeah, let's go Bolas. Destroy that. Trade with the Pack Leader if they don't have removal here. If they do have removal, this will die, but then Dark Intimations gets more value because we'll actually just return a Nicol Bolas Dragon God from our graveyard to our hand. So that makes Dark Intimations live here. Definitely flubbing things up here with that Crux of Fate play earlier. Pretty badly. But that's okay. It's Historic Brawl fun times. These are where I go to chill out in between the drafts for sure. We will take that trade. Or they'll trample over. Forgot about that ability as well. This is going to be the game of oops. Man, it has been too long since I have played the Dungeons & Dragons set. My mind is so set on Innistrad, I've just forgotten all of these cards. This set was so recently, and these cards are already just a blur in my memory. I thought that this ability you could only activate if you had Pack Tactics as well. I was like, they don't have 6 power on board, so they can't do that, so we're all good, but not true. We can make them sacrifice their 1 Planeswalker, right? Yep, so Dark Intimations it is here. With the max value, too. Dark Intimations to pick up a Nicol Bolas Dragon God. Now when we cast that Nicol Bolas Planeswalker, we exile the Dark Intimations from the grave to get it another loyalty counter. Really nice combo there. So our opponent has more than enough mana to just run out Eliwick again if they want to. But then we get to run out Nicol Bolas again and just destroy Eliwick, so that is not the choice. They're going to level up Ranger class. Smart move from our opponent. Somebody on the board has to make the smart decisions, because I'm certainly not here to do that today. We can cast Chandra and have 5 mana left to cast another Planeswalker. So we could Chandra and Nicol Bolas here, which will be really fancy.
When people start screaming, yup, you're going.
Oh, I guess we can't because it's double red, right? But this can turn into 2 colors, right? Yeah, we can turn one of this red mana into black-red instead. No, we can't. Because, yeah, it has to be 2 different colors. So this is one of the black, this is one more of the black, but we can't get triple black because this has to make 2 different colors. Okay, so we can't Bolas, but we can Angrath here, make them discard their last card in hand. Not bad.
No fire, no steel.
Add 2 mana of different colors. Yeah, if this could convert 1 mana into double black for Planeswalkers, that would have worked. Chandra into Bolas, but Chandra into Angrath also pretty good. They do have a mobilized district they can attack with here, make it a 3/3, kill one of our Planeswalkers. Or I guess these are both 5 loyalty, so they're quite sturdy, but they can still hit one if they want. Looks like they are going to cast Eliwick, and Nylia's active now, though. They have enough devotion to green with Eliwick and the Evolution Sage on board. So Nylia gets to snipe a Planeswalker here. They're going to go ahead and get rid of Chandra, it looks like. Well, Angrath can get rid of the Evolution Sage. That's pretty nice. We also get to use Evolution Sage's ability for our own benefit, proliferating onto our own stuff here if we have a land to play. Unfortunately, we do not, so we don't get the proliferate off of Evolution Sage, but we can use their own Evolution Sage to kill it and Eliwick, so that seems very good. And by getting those both off the board, Nylia will no longer be a creature. So that seems excellent to me. And then we just play Nicol Bolas and spin the wheel. Seems like the funnest thing to do. I don't know if it's the best thing to do, but it's what I'm going to do here. Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh has a +2 ability, where we just flip cards from the top of their library until we flip a non-land card, and we just cast it, whatever it is. So Old Growth Troll, we get to cast that 4/4 there off of Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh. This card is absolutely absurd. That's why it's the most expensive Bolas, costing 7 mana. But a +2 ability that casts something for free from your opponent's library is really good in Historic Brawl, because most players are playing a bunch of big, fun, splashy effects like that. So Nylia is active again, but they can attack Bolas and we just chump block with their own creature, and then Bolas is at 10 loyalty. We can do all kinds of nonsense. Or just spin the wheel off their deck again. They know we have another Bolas in hand to cast here, so that's just the big concession from our opponent there. Bolas doing stuff that is just too big, too good. Gonna win us the game, even though I played that super poorly. We're just gonna ride Bolas's coattails to victory. So Nicol Bolas, I love Nicol Bolas a lot because it's just a really cool character, just a giant, cool-looking evil dragon. I mean, like, come on. But when I first started the game, as I've said in a lot of videos, it was around the Shards of Alara block, so that was when the very first Nicol Bolas Planeswalker card came out, the one from Conflux, and that just immediately was my favorite card for a long time. It's just a big... It's actually not on Arena, the original Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. But it's just a big, powerful Planeswalker. It had like a... I don't even remember what it does anymore. It was like a +4 or something ridiculous to destroy a non-creature permanent. -3 was like gain control of a creature, and then the ultimate ability was like a miniature Cruel Ultimatum, making your opponent sacrifice a bunch of stuff, and you draw a bunch of cards or something like that. But that card was super sweet to the point where when they reprinted it in like M13, it was in Standard at the same time as Cultivate, so I just made this 4-color ramp deck that was all about using Cultivate to try to ramp into Nicol Bolas. It was sweet. It was a sweet, sweet time. So I'm looking up the card here during our opponent's turn. It's +3 to destroy a non-creature permanent, -2 to gain control of a creature. So only a -2 to just gain control of a creature was pretty sweet. And then the ultimate was, of course, deal 7 to target player. They discard 7 cards and sacrifice 7 permanents. So it's like a one-sided ultimatum. You're not getting the benefits for yourself. You're just ruining your opponent's day. But the really absurd thing about Nicol Bolas, the original one, is the +3 could destroy lands. So if you had a really absurd ramp start and you just use Bolas for land destruction, it could be super rude. That is living in Magical Christmas Land, but still. So we're against a Jund sacrifice deck here. Green, red, and black. They're going to get a lot of value every time they sacrifice permanents. Really, really good ability with treasure tokens because you can sacrifice those for free. If they get a Corvold onto the board and then they just sacrifice like 4 treasure tokens for mana, they're getting 4 counters on Corvold and drawing 4 cards. So Corvold, a very powerful commander. This is going to be a pretty crazy game here. Alright, well, Vantress enters the battlefield tapped, so as much as I would like a blue mana, I don't get it this turn, so we're not going to be doing Siphon Insight. Just going to play our tapped land and pass the turn. Have plenty of giant stuff to do in the future. Should not have played Interplanar Beacon turn 1 there, probably, but my mind was in nostalgia land, just remembering all of my Bolas cards. I did actually, I actually purchased the Nicol Bolas from the Vault Dragons on TCG Player several years back to be just the fanciest possible Nicol Bolas commander deck. But I traded it off and now I just have like a regular version because I'm kind of over trying to use the super fancy, mega fancy, rare versions of cards. I just want a functional deck. I would rather save my cash monies for things that I need rather than want. Alright. Well, Eldest Reborn just kill Corvold here. Seems fine to me. Beautiful artwork too. I really, really do love the Eldest Reborn's artwork, and a lot of the Saga artwork in Dominaria is super sick. But yeah, look at that. That is just insane. So our opponent does get some value off of this. Of course, they can sacrifice it to the Witch's Oven here, get a little food token, and they will be drawing a card from Corvold's ability as well. But it is still going to make Corvold cost 7 mana to cast it again. And they only have 5 on board right now. Temple of Malady. Temple of Malady for the unenlightened. So they do have a Vraska Golgari Queen coming out. They can kill our Mind Stone with that, or they can just go ahead and start drawing cards, sacrificing these food tokens. She does only destroy cards that cost 3 or less, so she can't destroy the Eldest Reborn here. So, yeah, I was going to say, I expect they just sacrifice a food to draw a card here. And that is the play. Ooh, there's Tezzeret. Bolas' underling himself. Now, we want to just drop down Tezzeret? We could. We could also drop down Bolas. We could Siphon Insight to play cards from their deck. Do they have any creatures or planeswalkers that are good in their graveyard? No. Just Gilded Goose. Kind of like making them discard another card with Bolas here. Maybe they'll discard something good to get back with the Eldest Reborn. Maybe not. If they don't, we'll just be getting probably a Goose. The Shambling Gas does not seem very exciting for our deck, but the Goose seems pretty good for any deck. We do have a Gilded Lotus in our hand to make sure we can get green mana if we want to make those food tokens, but mainly it's going to ramp us up one time by making a food right when it comes into play. Piper of the Swarm is their discard. That might be better than the Gilded Goose to pick up off of the Eldest Reborn here. Although if they find a way to kill Nicol Bolas the Ravager, we'll just let that go to the graveyard here, I think. Alright, a recast of Corvald, Fey-Cursed King. Sacrificing their final food token. Making that a 5/5 and drawing a card here. See what we get with the Eldest Reborn here. We're going to sacrifice a land to draw 2 cards, one from Corvald and one from Vraska. Very nice. Vraska's also at 8 loyalty now, so she's getting dangerously close to an ultimate. But Soul Shatter as our draw being really sweet. Actually, if we put a stop on our turn, we would have been able to Soul Shatter before this ability resolves, because it is an instant, I think. Maybe it's a sorcery and I'm wrong. Yeah, it's an instant, so technically we should be able to do that in response before our Saga resolves. That way they have to sacrifice Corvald, and that might be in the grave. I guess Corvald never goes to the grave, so it wouldn't matter. But, yeah, if we kill Vraska with that, then that would. So, Vile Offering's cool, but there's no good creature or planeswalker in a graveyard right now. We just get Shambling Ghast back and kill one of their cards. So that seems not great. Oh. Just get rid of Corvald, I think. So let's Gilded Lotus so we have more mana next turn, and then use the 3 mana from the Gilded Lotus to Soul Shatter. Get the blocker out of the way. Get to attack Vraska for 4 here. Our opponent is not going to get to keep this Corvald around on the board, but it is still drawing them a significant number of cards every time they cast it. And every time we kill it, because we're just making them sacrifice it over and over. So they still have plenty of gas to play around with. The Meat Hook Massacre, alright, the Wrath effect. Get our Bolas into the grave. Let's keep it in there and pick it up with Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, shall we? Now they have this static ability on the board, making us lose a life whenever one of their creatures dies. Oh no, making us lose a life, yeah, whenever their creatures die, and when our creatures die, they gain a life. Alright, so Vile Offering. Oh, I guess we can only cast that with a legendary on board, so we can't cast it right now, but we can bring that back in the future. Again, reading the cards does explain the cards. Legendary sorceries, I always forget this subtext. I guess technically that's not on the card, the part where you can only cast it if you control a legendary. Well, I guess we Chandra and just start plussing Chandra because this game looks like it's going to go long. We have enough mana to cast Chandra and Gambit, which is actually pretty sweet. I think we go for that. Cast Chandra, then we cast Tezzeret's Gambit. So we can proliferate onto Chandra, so she has 7 loyalty, so we can -6 to get rid of Vraska. That's pretty sick, because now we get to keep Chandra on the board and get rid of Vraska. That's super sweet. This is going to be one of those pretty crazy Historic Brawl games, because we're going to get to the point where each player has just more than enough mana to do whatever their biggest play is every turn. We'll just see who has the biggest, most impactful nonsense. Hopefully that'd be the Bolas deck, that would make sense, but we'll see. Their Corvald deck is super sweet. So a Spring Bloom Druid on the board. They sacrifice a land to grab 2 basics from their deck, throw them into play. Really cool card. Harrow on a stick, and Harrow's one of my favorite ramp cards in Commander. 3 mana for an instant that does the same thing, but the lands do come to play untapped with that one. But Spring Bloom Druid, definitely a sweet card, Commander staple as well. Especially for Gitrog and Korvald style players that enjoy sacrificing lands. Skullport Merchant is the play for this turn. They get a treasure token from it, and they can sacrifice their creatures or treasures to draw cards for 2 mana. So Narset is the draw here. Now I can go for that Vile Offering. Get rid of the Skullport Merchant. I guess it's not going to resolve, right? Destroy up to 1 target creature, Planeswalker. Nice. So because it's worded that way, the Vile Offering will resolve even if whatever I target dies in response. So we will still get our creature back from our graveyard. So, seems pretty sweet. Let's get that Vile Offering going on here. And we have 5 mana left over after that, so we can even cast Tezzeret. Start getting some Thopters out if we want. So there's Nicol Bolas the Ravager, going to force them to discard a card again. Let's drop a Tezzeret out here. And just start plussing these Planeswalkers. Get a Thopter out and start those emblems on. Put our opponent on a clock here. Dealing 1 damage to them every turn, uncounterably.
It is the ideal subordinate.
So not the greatest flavor ever, having Bolas supported by his enemies, such as Chandra, but we're just going to say that this deck is in the universe where, or in the multiverse, where Nicol Bolas won the fight in War of the Spark, and he just has the abilities of all the Planeswalkers as the Dragon God himself. This is the alternate universe Bolas deck, alternate multiverse Bolas deck. And that's how I'll explain it away. A lot of the Planeswalkers in here are good flavorfully, though. All of the Tezzerets, of course. The Liliana is the Dreadhorde General Liliana, so it was from the set where she was under Bolas's command until, you know, the turning point at the end of that set. Ooh, Yawgmoth Thran Physician. Yawgmoth's an absolute beating anytime this card hits the board. Things are about to get funky in here. A Blood Artist as well. Blood Artist and the Meathook Massacre. Our opponent could quickly find a way to use these free sacrifice outlets like Yawgmoth to find lethal here. They're doing 2 damage to us every time their cards die now. So they're going to stack on some pretty absurd lines. A lot of synergy coming down quickly here. So it's kind of the deck of a lot of synergy versus the deck of just big haymaker plays. Well, as much as I don't like losing Chandra, I do like the idea of just wrathing their whole board. So I think I want to -3 Chandra here. I guess we can cast Narset first. See what we draw. Maybe we'll draw a good piece of removal here. So they're going to start going off with Yawgmoth here, it looks like. And they could, of course, do this all in response to us activating Chandra. So wouldn't matter if we choose to -3 before the Narset here. If the plan is to snipe this Bolas out of the sky, which looks to be the case here. They, of course, drawing a ton of cards off this, going to get their hand refueled. They do have the ability to discard a card to proliferate to finish off Bolas, so they don't even have to kill Bolas here. They might just be whittling him down for now. Alright, well, down to 1-1 status. Maybe they are going for the kill here immediately to get rid of Nicol Bolas the Ravager. The Thran Physician putting all these -1/-1 counters onto Bolas. Will Yawgmoth finish him off? They'd have to sacrifice Blood Artist to do so. That would be kind of crazy to me. I wouldn't expect them to do that unless they have a card in their hand that returns all their cards from graveyard to the battlefield. That might be the case here. That might be what they're going for because they are sacrificing the Blood Artist. So this really makes me suspicious they have something to bring their whole graveyard back to the battlefield, something like that. So they're doing this all in response to Narset so they can actually draw all of those cards off of it, but I am surprised that they went all the way to sacrifice Blood Artist as well. I would have expected they sack everything but Blood Artist to draw all those cards, and then Blood Artist they just keep it on board for the value throughout the game. But the fact that they were going to get rid of Blood Artist there, I am very suspicious of what they could have here. Alright, so now they only have Yawgmoth, so we can hostage take the Yawgmoth. They don't have enough creatures to kill the hostage taker in response. So we can get their Yawgmoth on our own board. Protection from humans! Oh my god, the flavor text on Yawgmoth. Untouchable by the human pirate that is hostage taker. Oh my lord. Alright, Yawgmoth, go off. Okay then. That is not good for us. I guess we're borrowing their witch's oven. Just wanted to hang out with your oven, you know how it is. Chandra can only do 3 damage right now, so Chandra can't kill off Yawgmoth. We'll just get another emblem on our opponent here. We could draw 2 cards off Tezzeret instead of making a 1/1 flyer. That seems pretty good to me. Especially when they have a card that can easily kill these 1/1 flyers. Infernal Grasp, well, we can kill Yawgmoth with that then. That is not a human card, so get our Replicating Ring out and then Infernal Grasp Yawgmoth here, I suppose. Just give the Replicating Ring as much time as possible to get those counters on it. And of course to have more mana next turn. So Infernal Grasp, great draw off of Tezzeret here. We'll send in for 1 in the sky, and I guess it's time to figure out what they drew off of all of those draws from Yawgmoth. If they do have, like, the Rise of the Dark Realms return all creatures and graveyards back to their battlefield, that will be terrifying, but at least we have Chandra's -3 to get rid of a lot of stuff. Can't get rid of everything, though. I think we might just immediately be dead if they do return everything from the graveyards to the battlefield because of the Meat Hook Massacre in conjunction with the Blood Artist. Just all of those life loss effects when we're only at 13. So hopefully, fingers crossed, no way to bring their whole graveyard back to the battlefield, although there's at least 1 sorcery I can think of on Arena that would do that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, they're looking through the graveyard here. We'll see what happens. I think Rise of the Dark Realms would do it. Bring the graveyard back, sacrifice it all to Yawgmoth again, drain us for more than 13. No, Woe Strider it is. Just escape the Woe Strider from the grave. And an Immersturm Predator. When it becomes tapped, they exile cards from a graveyard, so we can't return anything, or they can sacrifice something to tap this in response. And exile whatever we're trying to return from our grave. Oh, Nicol Bolas Dragon God. Really great draw here. Some sweet stuff all around. Let's see what Narset gives us.
I have just the trick for this.
Dragon's Horde. Start drawing cards as we cast dragons. Our only dragon, though, is Nicol Bolas, of course, but still another Manalith kind of thing. Saheeli's pretty nice here, too. Yeah, Saheeli can get us extra mana off of the -2 ability, make our 1/1 flyer a Gilded Lotus. So basically, Saheeli pays for herself here, which is pretty cool. And of course, we gain the life from playing Saheeli. Nicol Bolas will gain Saheeli's ability as well, which is really cool. So we're going to have our 1/1 flyer become a Gilded Lotus until end of turn, I think. for bonus mana. I don't even know if we need the mana, but it's just fun to play around with that effect.
Do I have your
Now we can
attention
cast the
now?
Dragon God. We can siphon insight from our opponent, cast their top card against them.
I have a few openings for
See what they have here.
if you're interested.
Shouldn't this have the activated ability? Oh, all loyalty abilities, so it doesn't. Well, Dragon Master Outcast is something. We'll play that here. Could siphon insight again, but we won't have the mana to play around with it. So we can't kill this Predator because they can give it indestructible with their goat sacrificing the goat to it. So we would need to exile it. We can't exile it here. Let's just make sure we have as much value as possible, even if they kill like all of our planeswalkers here. So let's just draw a ton of cards. I guess we could put extra emblems on them and really speed up the clock, which is cool too. -4 on the Woe Strider seems good, but they have the free sacrifice outlet from Immersturm Predator, so it's just going to go back to their grave. We're not going to exile it. Yeah, let's just go ham with the +2s. This is probably wrong here, but it's just the coolest thing to do. Just load up the emblems.
Is it just me, or is it getting a little warm in here?
I am omnipotent.
I actually kind of do want another chump blocker. They have 4 attackers. We will have 5 blockers. We'll have a 1/1 flyer to block with 2. Well, we're actually good. Let's draw 2 here.
Let's see how you respond.
Oh,
to
Torment of
change.
Hailfire. That's a big potential game ender if we have 1,000,000 mana, which we will with double Gilded Lotus later on. But we can only cycle this Canyon Slough here. We might as well. Skyclave Relic. Alright, another mana for next turn. Another 1/1 to block with from Saheeli. Which means we get to cast Witch's Oven as well. And get another 1/1. Since we have that extra 1 mana there. Alright. Well, we have plenty to block with on the ground, but we only have 1 creature to block the Immersturm Predator. That is our 1/1 Flying Thopter. We could have made another with Tezzeret, but I went for the value play there and just drew 2 more cards off of Tezzeret. I feel like it was probably worth it. They're probably only killing one of our planeswalkers here or killing us. Of course, with the Meat Hook Massacre, can't put it past them. They could always just kill us immediately. Alright, so they exile the Siphon Insight from the graveyard, so we will not be recasting that. Now those Chandra emblems just going off with Nicol Bolas' emblem as well. Oh, I totally forgot we tapped our Thopter for mana. I went a little too ham there. Cast a little too many spells. We don't actually have a 1/1 flyer to block the Immersturm Predator. It does stay tapped when it becomes a 1/1 again. So they do get to snipe one of our planeswalkers. But the rest very likely survive here. So that'll attack as a 5/5, so they can't kill Nicol Bolas. And they are going to kill Narset, so that they can start drawing extra cards again. As long as Narset is on the board, they can only draw 1 card per turn, so they are not a fan of that. So Torment of Hailfire. X times our opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. So X will currently be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Plus 13, 14, 15. X will be 15? That's gotta be close to lethal here. It's gotta be the play next turn, right? Just tap out for the full Torment of Hailfire. They'll draw a ton of cards if they survive, but we'll have a bunch of creatures to attack them with after they sacrifice all their non-land permanents. The Meat Hook Massacre can hit us for 5 more damage here. We'd go down to 9. So we're safe currently. I think I'm just going to cast a giant Torment of Hailfire. If we use Nicol Bolas Dragon Gods +1 as well, we'll lower their cards in hand or permanents by 1. That makes it more likely this does the 3 life loss as well. So we can do Bolas's effect first. And then, of course, we are hitting them for a ton with all of the emblems that are stacked onto them. I think Torment of Hailfire might do it here. As long as we get to untap, and it's looking like we will. They are tapped out now. They get 2 more lands into play tapped with this Roiling Regrowth. But after that, they've already attacked. It's their second main phase. No more mana untapped here. I think it's time for a giant Torment. Oh, but they're going to get a lot more 2/2s. So they'll have a lot more cards to sacrifice to the Torment. It's still the play. It's still what I'm going to go for, but it's now less likely to just kill them on the spot. Alright, Arcane Signet. Not going to go for that here. Alright. Make them exile a card here, see what we draw into. But it probably doesn't matter. A land? That's 1 more mana for Torment.
My intellect is without limit.
Draw 2 more cards just to see what there is.
I know what must be done.
Karn doesn't really change things much. Let's get that extra damage onto them.
Oh, looks like someone's getting a little sweaty.
We're going to make a 1/1 another Gilded Lotus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we can do 16 as X. And we'll see if the X equals 16 Torment of Hailfire is enough to finish them off. If it is, what a flavorful victory. If you just look at that artwork. Your God Pharaoh has returned. We'll see our opponent's response to that. They are tapped out, but they do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 permanents to sacrifice, 5 cards in hand to discard, so that's 13 of the triggers. So 3 of the triggers would be able to do life loss, which would only do 9 damage, so it won't be immediate lethal. Which means they could very well find a crackback here. They take 5 more damage in their upkeep due to these emblems, so if they sacrifice too many creatures, our 1/1s might be able to chip in for enough damage to find the lethal here. We're just going to make them do all the math. We've cast the giant X mana spell. We'll just see what happens when it's all resolved now. I don't know how many triggers are left here. I have not been keeping count, and Arena is not informing me, so we'll see how much our opponent needs to lose here. I think if they sacrifice every non-land permanent, they still lose 9. So they lose like 12 if they want to keep Korvald around. They're going to get so many triggers on Korvald, it's actually insane here. If they leave Korvald on the board. I guess even if Korvald dies, Korvald's abilities would still go off. So they've got the 1 blocker, which means they block our 2/3 and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 damage from our 1/1s. So yeah, even if they go to 9 life, we do beat them. We hit them for 5 with all the 1/1s, and then the emblems finish them off. So Torment of Hailfire did not do it alone. but alongside all of Chandra's emblems and Nicol Bolas' emblem, it will finish the game here. Alright. Just gonna resolve all. I don't want to read all that, but I'm happy for you. Well, that's a big Corvold. I guess if they have instant speed life gain, they can get out of this one after they untap. But it looks pretty likely that we've got this. That would be a pretty crazy change in events here if they respond to all the emblems with enough life gain to survive. Alright. There's the emblems. That's 5 damage on the stack here. They just drew a ton of cards. If they have outs in their deck, they dug pretty far to find one. My cats are meowing at me outside the door to feed them. It is 5 o'clock. It's their dinner time. I hear you, cat. Alright. So, Bedevil in response, sure, doesn't change anything.
Schemes to attend to.
When it does, it sends a message. They've killed Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. But it looks like a final trigger on the stack. 1 life, 1 damage. It looks like we get there, so that, I think, is going to end the gameplay for today. I need to go feed my cats and myself. Gotta go cook some dinner. But that was a pretty sweet supervillains deck there. Just a bunch of sick planeswalkers and some cool Bolas tribal cards. The Bolas tribal cards really showing off their power there. The Crux of Fate to kill one of my opponent's creatures because I didn't realize that one of them was a dragon. That was a little awkward, but that's entirely on me, not on the card. Dark Intimations put in some sick work. That was a really cool Bolas card. All of the Bolas Planeswalkers were incredible. We saw a good showing from God Pharaoh, good showing from Dragon God, and of course, the commander of the deck, Nicol Bolas the Ravager, put in some work. And then the massive Torment of Hailfire to end that game there. So, really cool deck, super expensive, tons of rare and mythic wild cards. But if you're a Mega Bolas fan like myself, definitely recommend trying out just a big Bolas supervillains deck like this one. So, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to let the YouTube algorithm know to send yourself and others some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. And I will see you all again next week. We've got Innistrad Midnight Hunt draft challenges for some highly competitive drafts there. I have been kind of toying around recently in my premier drafts with some more silly stuff, drafting some fun stuff. We're going to go full serious mode for those draft challenges. And then the week after that, Ravnica drafts are back. It's going to be some kind of mixture format. And the week after that, premier drafts of some core sets. And then the week after that, the new Innistrad Crimson Vow set will come out. So a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon for limited players and Magic Arena players in general. So tons of videos coming to you all in the near future. But until then, thank you all again so much for watching. And I'll be back again very soon with some more Magic Arena.